It might surprise you to learn this. Even as bombs rained down on London during the Blitz, something remarkable continued. Milkmen still delivered milk to doorsteps. They navigated rubble-strewn streets, facing the constant threat of air raids. Yet the clinking of milk bottles remained a familiar sound. This small act of normality was a powerful symbol. It showed the incredible determination of Londoners. They refused to let terror completely disrupt their lives. This resilience, this quiet defiance in the face of unimaginable horror is the heart of our story today. Before the first bombs fell, London was a city holding its breath. The threat of war had loomed for years. When war was finally declared in September 1939, an uneasy period known as the Phony War began. Life continued with a strange mix of normality and anxious preparation. People knew that aerial bombardment was a terrifying possibility. The government had issued gas masks to every citizen. Families were instructed on how to build Anderson shelters in their gardens. These were small, corrugated iron structures, half buried in the earth. They offered some protection from bomb blasts and shrapnel. The anticipation was a heavy weight on the city. Children were evacuated from London in large numbers. This was a heartbreaking necessity. Parents said goodbye to their little ones, sending them to safer areas in the countryside. Imagine the scenes at railway stations. Tears were shed and brave faces were put on. Back in the city, blackout regulations were strictly enforced. Every window had to be covered at night. This was to prevent streetlights and house lights from guiding enemy bombers. ARP wardens, air raid precautions volunteers patrolled the streets. They made sure everyone complied. The darkness added to the sense of foreboding. London was bracing itself for an unknown horror. Then, in the late summer of 1940, the storm finally broke. The Battle of Britain raged in the skies over southern England. The Blitz had begun. The Blitz was relentless. Night after night, and often during the day too, the air raid sirens would wail. This mournful sound became the dreadful soundtrack to London life. It signaled the imminent arrival of German bombers. People would scramble for shelter, their hearts pounding. The sky would soon be filled with the crump of exploding bombs. Anti-aircraft guns would roar in defiance. Searchlights would crisscross the darkness, trying to pinpoint the enemy planes. For many, sleep became a distant memory, replaced by fear and exhaustion. The constant threat wore people down. The destruction was immense. Thousands of homes were reduced to rubble. Iconic landmarks were damaged. Churches, hospitals and schools were not spared. Entire streets disappeared overnight. The fires caused by incendiary bombs were a particular terror. They spread rapidly, turning vast areas into infernos. Firefighters, many of them volunteers in the auxiliary fire service, battled heroically. They faced collapsing buildings and unexploded bombs. Their bravery saved countless lives and properties, but the scale of the devastation was often overwhelming. Each morning, Londoners would emerge to scenes of chaos and ruin. The human cost was tragic. Tens of thousands of civilians were killed during the Blitz. Many more were injured. Families were torn apart. People lost everything they owned in an instant. Yet, amidst the grief and loss, there was also a remarkable determination. As the bombs fell, finding safe shelter became the primary concern for every Londoner. While Anderson shelters in gardens offered some protection, many people sought deeper, more communal refuges. The London Underground stations, with their extensive network of tunnels deep beneath the city, became unofficial sanctuaries. Initially, as mentioned, the government was hesitant. They worried about sanitation and public order. But the people of London took matters into their own hands. They simply turned up at the stations with their blankets and pillows. They refused to be turned away. Soon the authorities had to accept the inevitable. Life in the tube stations was an extraordinary experience. Thousands of people would descend into the depths each evening. Platforms and even tracks in unused sections became makeshift dormitories. Families would stake out their regular spots. Bunk beds were eventually installed in many stations, but conditions were often cramped and basic. The air could be stuffy. Sanitation was a challenge, yet a unique community spirit developed. People shared food and stories. They sang songs to keep their spirits up. Volunteers helped to organize things, providing tea and first aid. For many, the tube became a second home. The experience of sheltering together night after night forged strong bonds between people. It broke down social barriers. Making do and mending, the resourceful home front. Survival during the Blitz wasn't just about dodging bombs, it was also about coping with severe shortages. The war disrupted supply chains. German U-boats targeted ships bringing essential goods to Britain. This meant that food, clothing, fuel, and many other everyday items became scarce. To ensure fair distribution, the government introduced a strict system of rationing. Every person was issued with a ration book. This contained coupons that allowed them to buy limited amounts of items like sugar, meat, butter, tea, and cheese. It was a challenging system, but most people understood its necessity. The Ministry of Food played a crucial role. They launched campaigns to encourage people to be resourceful. The Dig for Victory campaign urged everyone to turn their gardens, parks, and any spare land into vegetable patches. Allotments sprung up everywhere. People grew potatoes, carrots, cabbages, and other vegetables to supplement their rations. Recipes were shared for making the most of limited ingredients. Dishes like Woolton pie, a vegetable pie named after the Minister of Food, became staples. Housewives became experts at stretching meager supplies. Nothing was wasted. Make do and mend became a national motto. Clothing was also rationed. People were encouraged to repair old clothes rather than buy new ones. Utility clothing, made to specific, simple designs using less material, was introduced. Resourcefulness became a virtue. People learned to knit, sew, and darn. The spirit of the Blitz, we were all in it together. What truly defined London's survival during the Blitz was its incredible community spirit. Faced with a common enemy and shared hardship, people came together in remarkable ways. The traditional British Reserve seemed to melt away. Strangers became friends, neighbours became like family. This sense of solidarity, often called the Blitz spirit, was a powerful force. It provided comfort, support, and a collective will to carry on. It showed that even in the darkest of times, human connection and kindness could shine through. This spirit was not a myth, it was a daily reality for millions. Many ordinary people became heroes in their own right. Air raid precautions, ARP wardens, were volunteers from the local community. They were responsible for enforcing blackout regulations. They sounded air raid warnings. They helped guide people to shelters. After a bombing, they were often the first on the scene. They rescued trapped people, administered first aid, and reported damage. Fire watchers also played a vital role. They stood guard on rooftops, ready to tackle incendiary bombs before they could start major fires. These were dangerous jobs, undertaken by everyday citizens determined to protect their homes and neighbours. Humour and defiance were also key ingredients of the Blitz spirit. Londoners refused to be intimidated. A beacon in the darkness, the enduring symbol of St. Paul's. Amidst the widespread destruction, one building stood as a powerful symbol of London's defiance: St. Paul's Cathedral. Its magnificent dome dominated the city skyline. For centuries, it had been a spiritual heart of London and the nation. During the Blitz, it became an inevitable target for German bombers. They knew that destroying such an iconic landmark would be a huge blow to British morale. The cathedral suffered several direct hits and many near misses, yet, miraculously, it survived. Its endurance became a potent symbol of hope and resilience for all of Britain. Forged in fire, the lasting impact on London's soul. The Blitz was a crucible. It tested London and its people to their absolute limits. The city that emerged from those months of fire and terror was changed forever. The physical scars were obvious. Vast areas needed to be rebuilt, but the impact went much deeper than bricks and mortar. The shared experience of the Blitz forged a new sense of identity for London. It strengthened community bonds in ways that peacetime rarely does. People who had faced death together, who had helped each other through unimaginable hardship, felt a connection that transcended social class and background. This was a profound and lasting legacy. The Blitz spirit, that combination of courage, humour, resilience and community solidarity, became an enduring part of Britain's national story. It is often invoked in times of crisis or adversity. While some historians debate the extent to which this spirit was universal, there is no doubt that for many Londoners it was a very real experience. It shaped their attitudes and their memories of the war. Their finest hour. Remembering and learning, the story of how Londoners braved the Blitz is more than just a historical account. It is a powerful reminder of human courage, ingenuity, and the incredible strength of community. From the surprising continuity of daily routines like milk deliveries to the organized chaos of life in the tube shelters, every aspect of their survival speaks volumes. They faced nightly terror, widespread destruction, and the constant threat of loss, yet they found ways to cope, to support each other, and to maintain their morale. The strategies were varied, seeking shelter, rationing resources, volunteering for civil defense, and simply refusing to be broken. The impact of these survival tactics was profound. They not only ensured the physical survival of millions, but also forged an unbreakable spirit. This Blitz spirit became a symbol of British defiance and resilience. It demonstrated that a civilian population, when united and determined, could withstand even the most ferocious onslaught. The stories of the ARP wardens, the WVS, the fire watchers at St. Paul's, and countless ordinary families highlight the extraordinary bravery found in everyday people. Their actions, big and small, contributed to a collective victory of the human spirit over tyranny and terror. This is a legacy worth cherishing.